Hey everybody, I'm Haley Gray. I'm the founder of the Women's Entrepreneur Network and a digital marketer, business coach, and all things small business. I have got my dear friend Velma Gallant here tonight, and we're going to be talking about a really cool topic I think is very pertinent to small businesses, which is resiliency. How do you deal with it when shit hits the fan? Because I don't know about y'all, but my life is perfect. Nothing ever breaks. I never have a hurricane in the middle of a summit. Yeah. And if you believe that, I've got some really great swampland I'd like to sell you.
Waterfront
swampland, no less.
Oh, yeah. I think it's been one of those weeks. I know I've been fighting with technology and things coming from all directions and feeling lots of moments of overwhelm.
Yeah. And Monday for me was the longest year ever.
Monday was Thanksgiving for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I did
Monday was not Thanksgiving for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and one of my kids ended up in the hospital again. And another one was supposed to have a medical procedure on Tuesday. And doctor decided that the doctor who referred and asked for the procedure to be done didn't provide adequate documentation. So she goes back in circles.
Oh.
And, and this is life, and tech issues and tech glitches and social media not behaving. You were having issues with StreamYard earlier. We were having issues with RSS feeds on Social Pilot not behaving and burping up stuff all over client social media accounts. And then we get to go pull out the mop and clean up the mess because we're managing social media accounts. And, things happen, life happens, whether it's the dog with the upset stomach or, people who give you advice that have no clue or, whatever. Being resilient, bouncing back from the crap as quickly as possible without losing your mind and you cool and not getting stuck in it.
Yes, I think that's the big thing, is not getting stuck in it. I know usually when I start spiraling down, it's because I've made whatever happened mean something. I've put meaning on it and a negative meaning on it. And when I can pull back that meaning or delete the meaning, then I can usually make my way through it, because like putting meaning on it it's almost like
well, I mean, we strive to put meaning to things. Why is Facebook, I'll pick on Facebook tonight, preventing me from doing X, Y, or Z? Clearly it's some meaning. Like last night, I ended up in Facebook jail briefly for commenting too fast.
Oh, I've done that.
It happens to me pretty regularly. I type 100 and some odd words a minute. And if I'm on my desktop machine, I'm typing really fast. And I get in trouble with Facebook. It would be really easy to ascribe meaning to that. Honestly, I'm typing faster than their little algorithm thinks that a human types on average, so therefore I must be a bot.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing, like we can ascribe meaning that doesn't serve us and doesn't have us feel good. Or we can, if we're going to make shit up, make up something that makes me feel better.
Yeah, make it something good.
Yeah. And I think that, I know that ends up helping me. That's something that I've done for a long time is, well, if I'm going to make shit up because I really don't know the truth, I might as well make up something that makes me feel better.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's easy to, like with the state of the world and state of economics and global economics and macroeconomics, and there's so many things that people have PhDs on this stuff to make up meaning about, the cost of coffee going up. Obviously it's a global conspiracy to drive the poor people who drink coffee, into the grave. Or, you can say, well, okay, maybe I shouldn't drink so much coffee. I mean, the reality is they've had, conditions for farming in countries that grow coffee that have caused a lesser supply of coffee, driving pricing up. Simple economics. But a lot of things, we assign values to, or we assign a meaning to, or some hidden agenda to that there may not really be one.
Well, and I think the other thing that I end up playing with is if I can make up 2 or 3 or 4 meanings, then the meaning I'm giving it just proves that it's not necessarily the truth. It could be a truth, but it's not necessarily the truth. And getting locked into what we think is the truth is usually what ends up getting us locked up.
Yeah. And interpreting.
Yeah. I remember I did an article like 10, 15 years ago, and I don't remember the full article, but I basically was recommending people throw out their label makers. Because that's often what gets me in trouble.
Yeah, no, totally. Label maker gets me in trouble every time. Actually, I don't know if I currently own a label maker. I used to create labels on all sorts of things. And I'm going to make the intention of the cat here that, well, she just wants to walk on my keyboard right now.
That's what cats do. It's just like in the olden days when we had newspapers and stuff, and you'd look at them and they'd immediately go flop right on the newspaper. That's what my cat always did.
Yeah. So how do you deal with a cat who goes flop on the newspaper?
I pet it.
Same. Mostly. Or I tell her she has to take a nap in the cat bed behind me. I have a cat bed behind me.
She didn't want to be picked up and cuddled.
No. She wants... Actually, you know what she wants is cat treats. Hold on. I know what she really wants. She wants cat treats. And she wants me to give her cat treats. So I'm going to put cat treats in the cat treat bowl and in the other cat treat bowl, because they have to be freshly dispensed from the jar in order for her to eat cat treats.
That's so awesome. I think the other thing about resilience is if I'm feeling snowed under for something, that I take a pause somehow, whether it be going for a walk or sometimes even just going and doing my dishes, like just walking away from whatever's ticking me off and going and doing my dishes or phoning a friend or something like that. But just take a pause and walk away so that you can go back refreshed.
Well, and I've learned too, like when a client or a contractor or an employee is pushing every single one of my buttons, or a family member, to just not respond. You can respond to blank and type out whatever you want and delete it. And it's amazing how no response many times is a perfectly good response.
That's true. I know when I was going through my divorce, and it was a bit of a high conflict divorce, and I'd get the texts and the voicemails and stuff like that. And I finally had to set a boundary.
Right.
And I put that boundary in that I would only respond to emails, and I blocked everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And what that gave me was that pause, because the email would come in, I'd get upset.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd go walk away. I'd go process it with a friend, or I would do what I called my diva bitch walk. Actually, I learned that from a mentor years ago, and it was just basically go walk and complain to my heart's content until I was done, and then come back. And then I would come back and I would respond to what had to be responded to, because often there was stuff in there that really I was not required to respond to. I didn't owe anybody a response.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it's discerning about those things too.
Right. Knowing when you actually have to respond to something. And I do that. I had to learn to do that with my parents. My dad had pretty advanced dementia. My mom had some moderate dementia, and I have a kid with a TBI with some cognitive and psychiatric issues. And I've learned that not everything has to be responded to. And it certainly doesn't have to be responded to immediately.
Mm-hmm. I think that's part of that self-care we were talking about a week or two ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. We were talking about that self-care. And I think that self-care is what supports the resilience.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, self-care really isn't about me going and getting a pedicure or a manicure or getting my hair done necessarily. It's really about that, earthing, meditation, diva bitch walk, whatever it is, that is really much more the self-care. Because that has that material, lasting, energetic impact and healing to it.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation, all the things.
I journal every single morning. Every morning. And it starts out with the gratitude. That's the very first thing that goes on the paper. And sometimes really it's as simple as I'm grateful for my gym membership, or I'm grateful for sleep, or I'm grateful for the sunshine, or, just something really, really basic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm grateful for my dogs and my cats and my children.
That demand attention with treats.
Treats aren't entirely necessary for some of them. Some of them require more regular treats, and are going to let me know if I haven't provided.
Yeah.
Resiliency is kind of a tough thing too, because like when somebody hits my every single button, and like, sorry about that, I'm playing with a fidget spinner, because I do. The interesting thing is when somebody hits every single button, rings a bell.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn in corporate not to respond. Or, when my dad would do something totally ridiculous, because my dad had dementia. And let me just say that when you're dealing with a parent who has progressive, severe dementia and all the health issues that go with it, there's plenty of ridiculousness.
Yes.
But, dad wanting to go skeet shooting. Sure, dad. You're walking with a walker. You can't maintain your own balance. But going skeet shooting with a shotgun is going to work real well. Well, so we would go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I would do my best to not respond. And the poor man finally goes, if I use an over under 20 gauge, with this specific model, it can only fire once. So if I fall over backwards, it can't discharge again.
Your sounds like your dad was a smart fellow.
He was extremely brilliant, right? But it was pushing the button and pushing the buttons and pushing the buttons. No, Dad, we cannot go skeet shooting. Well, and then there's that point where you're just like,
what do you do?
Totally, utterly speechless. What do you do? I don't know.
I got glimpses of it with my grandpa, and there were times where it was just plain weird, because he wasn't the man I grew up knowing. And then every once in a while you'd see him. I would see him again, and then yeah, it was I am grateful that I didn't have to deal with that a lot. As a grandchild, I was removed from the experience.
Yeah, I was the primary caregiver for my parents. And my husband was primary caregiver for his dad. So yeah. And yes, I took care of my mother-in-law when she passed away when I was 20 and she was the age of 50, which was a whole experience. But, you know, the process of dealing with that like illogical behavior taught me a lot of things about resilience, right? Not to let it, you know, affect my internal being and my internal feelings. It taught me to not react to things. It taught me not to, you know, let things affect me emotionally. Now, there were times where it was really maddening, you know, because we were dealing with a caregiver who was incompetent or, you know, all kinds of things. But it was a really good preparation, I guess, for in some ways for being an entrepreneur and for being a business owner.
Yeah, I suppose.
You know, dealing with illogical human behavior that makes no sense.
Would you say, because what I think I'm hearing is what you learned is it's real, but it's not personal.
And it's darn real, you know, to the person. You know, to my dad, it was absolutely real. To my daughter, you know, the voices she hears are absolutely real, or the, you know, reality that she has created in her head is absolutely real. And
the experiences for you are quite real as well.
Right, but there is nothing that I can say that is going to alter that reality or shake that faith in that reality. So if I allow myself to get totally bent out of shape, trying to correct, you know, somebody who has dementia or somebody who has, you know, psychiatric issues and correct their version of reality, I am only allowing myself to be bent totally out of shape. Because there's no way you can't fix it.
No. And it only adds to their confusion.
And it only adds to the angst and the anger in the situation.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
No.
Taking that step back and saying, okay, I don't have to respond right now. This is totally ridiculous, right? The caregiver who gave my dad alcohol, the, you know, the thinking that he could go on a boat with a walker and be able to successfully transition onto a boat, or, you know, all kinds of things, right? And, you know, it's that like, okay, I understand his point of view. He doesn't perceive reality in the same way. But arguing until I'm blue in the face isn't going to fix it. Arguing until I'm blue in the face with StreamYard because it's having a bad day isn't going to fix it. Might want to take a bat and swing at it, but it's not going to fix the computer.
No, it wasn't. And so it was for me fighting with StreamYard today. It was, we're just going to reschedule this.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided too that rescheduling it was better for the person that I was going to be interviewing.
There you go.
Because we were running out of time, and I wasn't going to be able to give her the exposure and the quality of experience that I like to give.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do this instead, and then I can give you that.
Right.
Instead of being highly irritated by StreamYard for screwing everything up.
Right. And you're still in that heat of the moment. You're still aggravated and you're ready to still take a bat at it. And you're going live and you're like, or you can walk away and take a break.
Mm-hmm. So, and that actually, through a lot of the stuff that's gone on, like when I was going through my divorce and when I got laid off from jobs and stuff like that, it was when all you can do is breathe, then all you do is breathe. And I would give myself permission to just breathe, because that was really all I had the energy for.
Right. And if you can breathe, that's all you really have to do to stay alive in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to really do to stay in the game. Keep breathing. Water and food and everything else are secondary.
Yeah, water's pretty up there.
You'll die a lot faster without breathing, though.
Right?
Just saying. Yeah. So, yeah, breathe. Take a second, pause, breathe. Reset. Yeah, don't let them get you down.
You'd mentioned to me, you'd asked me if I'd rebooted my computer. Sometimes we need the reboot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, try it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's all you need, is to try it a different way. And sometimes, Facebook is having gremlins, just in the case of StreamYard, and none of the streaming services are going to connect for a few hours.
True enough. I didn't want to learn something else today. I was not in the mood for learning something else. I wanted smooth. I didn't get it, but I didn't have to learn something else. Well, I mean, that honestly, it really was. It was just making the choice. It wasn't the best choice. It wasn't the worst choice. It was a choice that got me through that moment so that I could regroup and figure it out. I haven't figured it out yet, but I still, I will.
Call a friend. Sometimes friends can walk you through it too. And my apologies, the dog started barking like mad. No. She's just barking for the fun of it. And with that, yeah, breathe. Take a second to breathe, pause, and do all the things. Thank you for joining me tonight, Velma. I appreciate you for being here.
Absolutely. I always enjoy our conversations. There's always good stuff in there for me.
Yeah, same. Likewise. It's good to do these. Y'all, I hope you have an awesome night. Check Velma out. Talk to me. Let's schedule a one-to-one. Let's do it. Take care and have an awesome night.